This story, guys, is a doozy from your favorite dusty, crusty state in the Union, Colorado, my home state. Colorado from CBS
Even you
News.
called it Dusty.
Hey, man, you know what? I'm just gonna go along with what you say, bro. I'm just gonna keep the narrative straight.
Okay,
All
all
right.
right, cool.
CBS Colorado reports Colorado researchers consider possibility of a reliable marijuana breathalyzer. Sounds like an oxymoron to me, guys. While there are technically marijuana breathalyzers on the market right now, neither researchers at the University of Colorado Boulder nor officials with the Colorado State Patrol believe they are good enough tools to actually help law enforcement determine if someone is under the influence and therefore not able to drive. Sergeant Roger Myers with the Colorado State Patrol said it simply. As an agency, we decided that it's not where we are going to go, he said. Cinnamon Bidwell, associate professor of cognitive science at CU Boulder, put it this way: the subjective tools that are used right now are not a good system for anyone. There is an eagerness to try and push forward, and we are trying to work as fast as we can. That's why researchers are looking into the feasibility to actually create something that is reliable and a good tool. A new study's initial report shows promise in terms of being able to garner more information scientifically and being able to use that data to help make enforcement on the road safe and fair. The key is being able to detect cannabis after someone has recently used. This is super important for public safety. The potential for roadside testing, but there are a lot of steps in this research pathway before we can establish whether a breathalyzer for cannabis will really be a viable tool for our public safety officers and moving forward for roadside testing, Bidwell says. Bidwell explained it's a natural progression to want to have similar testing devices for officers as they do for detecting inebriation in alcohol. But it's like comparing apples to pine cones. With cannabis, the amount of the drug that stays in your body is very, very small. Almost like it's looking for a needle in a haystack, even in someone who uses quite a lot. It also stays in your system for longer, which provides difficulty trying to establish timeline. Alcohol is metabolized through the body really quickly. It doesn't stick around. If you're using high levels, it shows up in your breath, in your blood, Bidwell says. Whereas if you're a regular user of cannabis, it sticks around. It's stored in your fat. It is continuously metabolized in your body. So the meaning of having THC in your blood or biological tissue doesn't quite have the same meaning as alcohol. CSP, Colorado State Patrol, also admitted it's not where it would like to be concerning enforcement of marijuana. If we are more comfortable with cannabis, we would be better at our jobs, Myers said. Aside from roadside testing for marijuana, Myers said making sure their troopers understand the effects of marijuana, including different versions of marijuana, what they can do to a driver is important. From the ground up, we are trying to learn about these new frontiers, Myers said, what it is doing to people, how the preparation affects people. If we think that, hey, someone who does an edible in this is the same as someone who's smoking a joint, we are lost. Bidwell agrees. Bidwell agreed that there's little substantial data and there's a lot to learn in terms of getting a solid handle on enforcing laws surrounding marijuana and driving. It continues to surprise people in terms of the gaps, Bidwell said. The research has been really limited by the federal Schedule 1 status. Research has really been limited in this space. There's a lot of boxes to check, and we are moving forward trying to check those boxes. So, how soon could we see something? CU researchers say that there's not an expected timeline, and that's kind of helpful considering they'll be able to determine if it's possible without having to worry about creating a product that does not live up to the standards they expect. Right now, they're just hopeful there will be some good that comes out of it, and it is looking good so far, she said. Our research is initially saying yes, we can do that breath collection after recent use. We can detect those cannabinoids and actually chemically quantify them in meaningful ways, Bidwell said. Then the next step is breaking it down to study people over time, comparing different products, what this looks like in an individual, and can we create meaningful thresholds like we have for alcohol? Everyone knows 0.08 BAC, We are several steps away from that for cannabis, but that's what we're looking forward to. And that concludes this story by CBS. Guys, this has huge implications. We've covered this many times before. It sounds like they're getting closer to determining a standard for how this is initiated and how they issue these kind of standards. So I'd love to hear from everyone in our audience and our esteemed panel. Please let me know your thoughts, guys.
I mean, so break this down. How does this metabolize THC with your body, Simon? Real
Well,
fast.
what they're actually saying is, so they're trying to do, and what they're attempting to do is actually to quantify the amount of cannabinoids that are still around, like in your mouth, like after you smoke. So that's going to be their determining factor. If you're smoking and driving,
But now, from a science perspective, Simon,
It's saliva.
does that translate into impairment in like
well,
real
that's well,
functionality?
that's point zero
You got
eight
cotton
THC.
mouth doesn't mean that you're high.
Yeah.
Listen, I mean, there's people that have higher tolerance for alcohol too, but it's when you're making when the law is creating a standard, they don't care.
I know the law, the standard is going to be created for the 20% of the population that
But
have the lowest tolerance.
there's arguments to be made. People have been acquitted from DUIs and DUI arrests for being, intoxicated. I think that there's a lot to come out of this, but initially it's like, there is what they're saying that's good is that there's really no good way to tell if someone's impaired from cannabis unless they have just currently smoked. And that is the window that they're trying to establish as a timeline for usage and say, hey, this person is impaired because they've used it within this time frame before they drove, and we could quantify that by a mouth swab or
Yeah,
something
but
like
is that only for smoking? Because what if you eat an edible? It doesn't take
that.
effect until
It takes
an
the
hour
residue of
later.
the distillate in the
Precisely.
gummy off your mouth.
Precisely. Well, I mean, it's like the cannabinoids
No
are the cannabinoids.
residue of
No, it
distillate in
doesn't.
the.
It doesn't do that, Simon. Come on.
Well, and listen, it's like this. If you're, I mean, I'm not sure. That's the real answer. I'm not 100% sure if an edible is going to be, transmitted the same way in your buccal glands
Won't
as the
be.
way that like smoke would be. But
Exactly.
I would assume that there's going to be some correlation, but I don't think, it's the same. I think they're really looking at just smoking in this study. So who knows though? We don't know all the facts. Cinnamon Bidwell at CU. Look her up. Find her email her. Let's find out more information.
But they have to
It sounds to
create
me.
some sort of measurement, right? They
Yeah.
can't just say we think you're high. Just
No,
like in blood alcohol level, right? There's a measurement that they're
they're
taking, right?
saying, Todd, that they're trying to test I'm guessing saliva, and that there's cannabinoids present in your saliva after you smoked recently. What that window is, I have no idea. So,
I don't know if there's cannabinoids present in your saliva when you smoke weed.
well,
I'm gonna
that's what they're
go
saying.
test some. I'm gonna spit in a vial.
I mean,
I can do a
oh,
test.
here
in
we
my
go.
vial.
In your
It's
breath, in
a-
your saliva, that's kind of the same thing, right? So I would assume that that's what they're actually referring to and what they're gonna use as their initial baseline. But we'll find out, So
Yeah,
Colorado
it's
drivers,
It's just lame. It doesn't make any sense.
it's lame
all.
because, like, half the people driving on Colorado roads are probably burning down.
Way
So
more than half, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Right.
everyone driving in the mountains this winter, just be careful.
And what happens? What happens when that window's closed? They're trying for the back door. Better watch out.
Right. No, just keep Altoids in your car. You'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Altoids,
Keep breath mints in your
muscle
car,
packets.
Tic Tacs.
Just the
Mustard.
dumbest thing that they're still trying to do this without actually creating some scientific method to measure.
No offense to all our thin blue line homies out there, but let me tell you, cops aren't the smartest bunch. So
Oh, it's not even the cops that
hold on.
need to develop this stuff.
What do
Some scientist
You're
in a
giving them
lab
tools.
We need
needs to
Yeah, you
be
give them defective tools.
we
has to write it up and do a study.
we need to hop to Nicole.